Alright, so what is color contrast? Color contrast is about how one color stands out from another color. Games. Elden Ring. How does this, more specifically Shadow of the Erdtree, stand out from the plethora of the other worlds created by talented artists? What is color contrast in what matters to us, gamers? Creating visual hierarchy. By using contrasting colors, designers can draw the player's attention to important elements in the game world. And so how does this color impact the perception of millions of Tarnished in the lands between? The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is pretty big. Miyazaki's words were an understatement. The size of Limgrave? Good one, bud. Talk about humble. But the size itself isn't what gives Elden Ring, or even just the DLC, its character. Sure, there's big fields, vertical caves, convoluted catacombs, but as an adventurer, what do we most want in a game like this? If not actively, then at least subconsciously. When I first walked into the DLC, I felt mystery, difficulty ahead. Even if one wouldn't have heard anything about the DLC being challenging, they would have at least felt it. In contrast to the Erdtree's illumination, we now have the shallow, washed-off gold filling up the view, which is in turn shadowing on the furnace golem's piercing fire, transforming it from being a bright theatrical show to an eerie showcasing of size, power, and vicious imminent danger. Now once again, let's contrast that. You beat Relana on a stage of calm water circle illuminated by the moon caused by the open ceiling. A chilling yet relentless fight. Once you overcome her swords of slicing blue waves and explosive fire, you then get to wield them. When I equipped the new light greatswords, I felt good. I now had power in my very hands. I could choose to catch my prey from a distance or burn them to crisps, followed by an explosion to blast away the hordes. The darkness of the world around you is cut through by the colors illuminating from these blades, giving you the feeling of might and being the very threat. Now what about when the entire scenery switches, and now you are the contrast of darkness and insignificance to the Shadow Realm when it blossoms? The feeling I got is that of me being a part of an evolving universe. I was mesmerized. The Cerulean Coast was the first time I genuinely got shocked. Walking out of an opening in two colliding cliffs to find a haven of blue so bright yet somber. Occupied by a ghost flame dragon blending in with the catacombs. Now the way the world is designed, its verticality, and how I heard someone say it feels like one huge legacy dungeon with its sections is also a topic I have greatly thought about. But it is not the subject of this video. Although I must say that even that is supported by the colors. Let's dive.
I'm probably fucking dead. I'm not. I'm not dead.
Before I go any deeper, I would like to ask for all of you watching to consider subscribing and leaving your thoughts of the video down below, as I usually don't make content like this, but still wanted to try it out. I'm usually an idiot, but I found myself still appreciating a lot of the minor things in the game that I feel like are left out of the conversation surrounding it. Thanks. After having finished the DLC, I found myself having some complaints about the camera angles for some of these bosses, and as this is my first and only ever Souls game, I found it quite challenging. But I also found myself revisiting the areas of the Shadow Realm just to see what really kept my eyes so captivated and almost glued to the screen. Now remember when I showcased the beauty of the Cerulean Coast? What can show better contrast than Charo's hidden grave? The beautiful, vibrant red feels like it could almost bleed over the starry, rich blue flower field. What made this even more impressive is that we could see this before even going there. We just didn't know how. Kept away by puzzling roads and interconnected levels like passing through the Darklight catacombs right after having completed the Shadow Keep, just to enter yet another masterfully crafted place, the Abyssal Woods. This is the part where I might get some backlash. I have heard many complaints about places like the Abyssal Woods and the Finger Ruins for supposedly wasting space, when I in fact believe that they were simply there for the ambiance. Miyazaki already told us that the size of the DLC is comparable to Limgrave. It in fact wasn't, it was much bigger. Yet people still complain that these places were underutilized. I would bet that even if they had completely filled those areas to the brim for our satisfaction, they would still want to make some empty, barren places filled with waste and creatures trying to end us. The moment we walk into the woods, we are greeted with not only messages warning us of imminent death, but we can clearly see it. The same, if not more somber gold color fills up the air around us, and only the walls' cracks filled with madness acts as our company, our light. Of course, also the actual sunlight, dimmed by the mist and shadow. This is the Abyssal Woods atmosphere of dread, one of those places where yet again, we have to be the light contrasting the dark. And the same can be said about the Finger Ruins. Like it or not, we all felt the wave of hollow lands, which I figure is the reason they were put there in the first place. Yes, they could have made it so that some areas were unexplorable to save us time, and yes, there was one too many cookbooks. But I think my argument is strong in that the contrast pierces through just color and into the entire area, solitude. This DLC was filled with dark tainted yellowish air, so when I entered the Stone Coffin Fissure, I was pleasantly surprised. It reminded me of the calming areas in the base game, like when you first take the elevator down and see the bluish purple sky. And even though I love this atmosphere, as I'm sure most of us do, some people could say that this is all it is, dark. Yet, as much as I wouldn't have had much of a problem with that, the game doesn't forget about the Golden Order, in which it can represent hope, but also hardship. The red we spoke about was perfectly utilized in Messmer's fight, and the whole Shadow Keep being filled with red-caped enemies that were difficult to get rid of. The maddening orange of Midra causing even the sheep to be frenzied. The orange was also vastly present in the wrathful skies leading up to one of the best Elden Ring fights, showing its merciless climate. The very pungent gold came through as vicious attacks of Radon in his prime, combined with Miquella pulverized us hundreds of times. It showed the might and strength of the demigods. But even with all this, I couldn't leave out the very refreshing Ruins of Ra. Beautiful sunny lands where even the Erdtree's shadow couldn't hide the light of the sun. Beautiful light blue waters combined with pure light gave us the calm before the storm. As we go on to burn away the shadow, the sun was really beaming through even the shadow of the Erdtree. Once again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate the support I've been getting. I will most probably play all the Souls games and I will stream all my games on Twitch. Leave a comment of which game I should play next, subscribe, like and share with a friend, and with that, Kenats out.